So, hi. Yes, I thought I'd give you a talk about fishing rule number 1 in 3 installments. Had a bit of a comedy of errors today when I set out to go and do some video work to try and get some more shots of lures working underwater. So first thing I discovered when I got down to the river was that I had in fact left without my backpack. So my camera and my spare line, all my spare lures, everything were sitting here at home while I was down there. So yeah, rule number 1, it's a double check your gear before heading out. And then there's rule number 1 again. I decided to have a few casts anyway. One thing that I particularly wanted to do today was do a video of the small green meanies being cast out so they swing along and come back underneath the bank. As I found this to be a very successful technique, and as I had that lure already attached to my line, I tried that straight away. Cast out, the lure swept around, retrieved it up underneath the willows under the bank, nothing. I thought, one more cast, and I just started retrieving it back down underneath the willows, and I thought I got a snag, but then suddenly you got these bang bang bang, sort of big head shakes, and I realised I had a really good fish on, and I had quite a fight, and it was just getting towards the end of the fight when it suddenly dawned on me that I'd forgotten rule number 1, or at least this iteration of rule number 1, which was always have in mind your landing situation before even bothering to cast. There's some situations, there's some positions you'll be in casting where if you hook a fish, it's impossible to land it, and I found that today, and I kicked myself because this is something I next to never do. I found myself 1.5 meters up a bank with a flooded river below me, which is far too deep to jump into, and a really large fish on the line. It was at least 6 pound. And so all I could do was sort of lean over and try and sort of like pull it up far enough by the line so that I could grab the lure and then hopefully pull the fish up via the lure. So I was reaching down over the bank, and it was a disaster from the start. As soon as I started trying to lift it up by the line broke and the fish swam away with my lure in its mouth, which not so bad for me losing the lure, but I feel really terrible that I did that to the fish. I just hope that I was able to shake it out. Luckily it was my smallest size of lure, but it's still doubtful whether that fish will actually survive, and it was a really good fish in breeding season. So yeah, that's rule number 1. Again, be very careful of your landing potential before even bothering to cast. But then there's a third rule number 1 as well that I should mention. It's just that where the line broke was right at the knot, and it occurred to me that I had been using that line for at least the last 3 or 4 trips. It had been wrapped around at least 3 or 4 tree branches during that time and retrieved, so it was a bit dinged up, the leader, my 6 pound leader. So yeah, rule number 1, the third iteration, is check your knots and even consider retying your knots or retying a new leader before heading out on a trip. Okay, thank you.